Push one kid.
So Granny crossing Mora Duggy.
Stand.
Run! Fire!
Shenyali grafar hata fuyale geren fuindarsu hartidurani huin fui bachvesir shanchira shinshir fasta Niak for Queen Chirna na Queen Tried Anak dahem sa barna bwil Legeller gil hun bosh no sil Legon ni skrech Fui lawak na bile Shalev kanigi ora navin.
A Greek philosopher wrote, "It is now the responsibility of the living to keep alive the memory of the dead." And I think that's the sentiment that drove those who constructed this garden. Not merely to remember the dead, but to keep alive the memory of the dead. And in doing so, what we remember is the people of St. James's from every generation who stepped up to the mark and defended their community and their country against oppression, against discrimination, against draconian legislation. We remember the men and the women in the 20s who rotted in prison ships, who were brutalised in the Crumlin Road jail and in jails in the south of Ireland. We remember the people who struggled in this area to defend this area. We remember the men of the 40s and the women of the 40s who equally defended not only St. James's, but defended the right of Irish people to proclaim Irish freedom. We remember the women, the mothers, who suffered while their husbands and their sons went on the run, leaving them as the sole parent in families. We remember the mothers who on a daily basis, not really that long ago, who visited the jails of Longcash and Armagh and Portlaoise. We remember those men who suffered in the jails of England. We remember the women, the fathers, the brothers, the sisters who made the notorious trips to visit them, only to be found, only to discover that they had been ghosted, sometimes hundreds of miles away. And we acknowledge the cost of struggle. And the cost of struggle sometimes is not readily seen. We remember those who came from prisons broken, the families that picked up the pieces. We remember those who suffer still today as a result of prolonged imprisonment. So the garden is not simply a monument or remembrance to those who have died. Of course, that is a big part of what the garden's here for, but we remember the cost of struggle, a cost that is still with us today. At a time when titles are glib and everything's the best of and the first of and brand new and never be repeated, I'm glad to be sharing a platform but someone who has a title which is earned and deserved, and who'll say a decade of the Rosary. I want to call the People's Priest, Desi Wilson.
Dear friends, there were many brave and wonderful people who occupied all this space here through the years. There are still great and wonderful people who do, and there will be great and wonderful people who will, in the future, have the same idealism and the same love of their own people that all of us have today. And the people who have gone, tá siad le dia inis, agus tá súlagan go méid abalta siacán agus frachiúlach a crothú, le más mór a gach éon duine le céile, is í sin an aisling a bhí ag na daoine seo, agus is our son na haislinga seo a dibri siad I rí a síl héin, dheis dé go raibh a ananacha, téan siad hiag dia agus our manacht low. We send them on their way into the hands of God with our blessing too. And we say a decade of the Rosary in honour of the resurrection. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. And may the blessing of God come upon you, upon us, and upon this sacred spot. Perhaps we have said less prayers than we might have done, but the prayers are in our hearts, and the rain may be coming on top of us.
Can the following people come to the platform? Veronica Burns, Maureen Finnegan, Josephine Lorimer, Kathleen McAllister, Sheila McVeigh, and Mary McManus. And while they're coming, it's customary at events like this that people who are doing the job that I'm doing today talk highly of the area they're in, whether they know it or not. That's what you do. St James's is an area which is not very big. It's an area where the streets are not very big and the houses are all palaces, but they're not very big. But it's an area that's produced giants. It's an area that's produced heroes. How else could you account for the resistance that's been shown in this area all these years against the wrongdoing that was inflicted not only in the people of this area, but in the wider area? The people who are gathered here are rightly proud and should be rightly proud of the area they come from. You come from an area that has produced heroes. In every phase of our struggle has produced heroes. And we hope today and for the future that we all acknowledge that and we do you proud. We're going to unveil the Rolls of Honour. The first Roll of Honour will be unveiled by Veronica Burns and Maureen Finnegan. The civilian plaque will be unveiled by Josephine Lorimer and Kathleen McAllister. And the speech plaque, which I would invite you all to read at your leisure. It's absolutely beautiful and it's very poignant. Will be unveiled by Sheila McVeigh and Mary McManus. We will now have the wreath laying ceremony. The first wreath that will be laid is led from the Republican movement from Michael McDonald. To be followed by the commemoration wreath by Sean McManus and the common wreath by Joe Burns. The XPOW wreath by Patrick Furran. And all other wreaths, as your formation there will allow you to do it, come up and lay them now. When the wreaths are laid, we will have the lament, the raising of the flags, so the lament, the lowering of the flags, and then the raising of the flags, and the lament will be by Kasia once again. We will now have the Roll of Honour read by Ciara Boner. And I would invite the people who are on the other side of me, because this part of the ceremony is probably fairly long, just to take a seat.
Oglach, Francis Leggett. Oglach, James Skipper Burns. Oglach, Harry Burns. Oglach, Brendan O'Callaghan. Sinn Féin, Paddy Brady. Daniel Rooney. Peter Watterson. Ronnie MacDonald. Anthony McGrady. Sadie Larmer. Paddy McAllister. John Devine. Michael Lenihan and Michael O'Dwyer.
We will now observe a minute's silence. Thank you. If Mary Brady can make her way up through the proclamation.
Proclamation of Fóblach na hÉireann, the professional government of the Irish Republic, to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old traditions of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, through her open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal herself, she now seizes that moment and, supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished, except by the destruction of Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irishman and Irishwoman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government which have divided a minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment, the establishment of a permanent national government representative of the whole people of Ireland and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, by inhumanity or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children, to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government by Thomas J. Clarke, Sean McDermott, Thomas MacDonagh, P.H. Pearce, Eamon Kent, James Connolly and Joseph Plunkett.
We have 2 speakers today. And I talked earlier on about an area or a district or a place that's full of heroes, and I think both the speakers epitomise that. People who were very young, who saw injustice, and who took a decision that would change and shape, not necessarily always for the better, a large part of their lives. And I think that they epitomise the courage of the people who come from this area. Our first speaker is Breach Brownlee, who's an ex-prisoner and the latest Sinn Féin councillor in Ireland. So, Breach Brownlee.
I would like to add my welcome to everybody gathered here today. I thank you for allowing me the honour to address you, and I have to say I'm very humbled by that honour. The journey to make this memorial garden a reality has been a long and a hard but very worthwhile journey. Now seeing it complete makes everything worthwhile and makes me feel proud for everyone who helped in whatever way to build the garden. From those who raised money, to those who have spent so much of their time recently in building it. I think that everyone should give them a round of applause. Today is a sad occasion, but it's also a day of celebration and of hope, because everyone here today, through their memories, is bringing to life all of those whose names are on this memorial and to whom this garden is a beautiful tribute. The memory of the great Irish men and Irish women, and particularly those on our Roll of Honour, is a guide and an inspiration to us all. We give eternal thanks to their families who have endured so much for allowing us to share in the remembrance of their loved ones. The spirit of resistance represented by people like Harry Burns, Francie Leggett, Paddy Brady, Brendan O'Callaghan and Skipper Burns lives on within this area and with every stone in this garden. The garden also represents the strength and courage of the people of the Greater St James's area, a strength and courage that shone through when armed struggle was a necessity. This garden represents a community that could not be ground down, a community that is still unbeatable. The Roll of Honour has pride of place. On it are the names of soldiers of Oakland and Heron and of activist Sinn Féin member Paddy Brady. Each and every one of them were decent, selfless, honourable Republicans who loved this community. They were loving fathers and sons, brothers and husbands, friends and comrades. They are our heroes. Also in the garden, there's a tree dedicated to all those who were victims of British state murder and the British government policy of collusion. We will continue to battle, no matter how long it takes, for the truth to come out about British state murders. There is a tree dedicated to the memory of the shopkeepers who were murdered in this area by Unionist death squads. They died while serving this community, and we will never forget that. A rose bush has been planted in memory of all the ex-prisoners, and the seed of that rose bush, a clipping, was actually taken from outside H Block 6, so it's very poignant in its growth. Many of those who went to jail for the struggle have died young, and the Commemoration Committee wanted to remember their sacrifice also. The 12 pillars inside the garden here are dedicated to our hunger strikers, Frank Stagg and Michael Gaughan, and the 10 hunger strikers of 1981. The water fountain in the centre is also dedicated to the hunger strikers. This morning I learnt that the Bobby Sands mural in Twinbrook was vandalised overnight. Luminous yellow paint has been painted over the image of Bobby's face. This is the latest in a series of attacks on Sinn Féin offices and Republican memorials. Sinn Féin offices at Connolly House, Sevastopol Street and Turf Lodge have been paint bombed. In the Connolly House attack, a Roll of Honour plaque was smashed to pieces. In the Turf Lodge attack, the sign with the face, there was an attack on the face of Countess Markovich. Paint was also smeared all over the ground and the flagpole in the Turf Lodge Republican Memorial Garden. The mural in memory of the Gibraltar Milltown martyrs at the top of Mona Road had the initials RIRA spread on it. We have spoken to many of the families of those on the Andersonstown Roll of Honour, the Turf Lodge Roll of Honour, and some of the families of those on the Gibraltar and Milltown martyrs mural. They are saddened and disgusted at these attacks, but they are absolutely determined, like we are, that they will not deflect us from working to achieve the united Ireland that our martyrs died for. In 2 days' time, this Tuesday, 5th of May, we will commemorate the 28th anniversary of Bobby Sands' death and hunger strike. The hunger strike of 1981 is already regarded as a watershed in our history, and I have no doubt that in the fullness of time, it will come to be seen as a pivotal point in our long march to freedom. The struggle and the sacrifice of Bobby Sands and of his comrades continue to sustain Republicans the length and breadth of Ireland today. When I look at the names on the plaques in this garden, the memories come flooding back. This year marks Sadie Larmer's 30th anniversary, and I find that so hard to believe, as I can still remember her as she was when we used to go in and out of Cassie's house. I'm glad to see Deirdre McKay here today, because she reminds me of two teenage girls who went to Skipper Burns and demanded to be treated as serious soldiers. Skipper took them on, arranging a gun lecture, and neither of them could even hold the thing. It was a measure of the man that he saw their naive resistance and didn't chase them. Paddy Brady was truly a man of the people, way ahead of his time in capturing the lives of locals, as his films testify. Renowned for his community events, Josephine Larmer said recently she felt Paddy Brady was the founder of Féile an Phobal. And given what the Féile has achieved, I thought what a brilliant tribute that is. And it's true. For if Paddy wasn't organising a fun day or a bonny baby competition, then no one was. Anthony McGrady was a neighbour of mine, and I was horrified when I learnt of his death. A death his mother never got over. And why should she have? Why should any of us get over these murders and these deaths? They were cruel, they were vicious, and they left gaping holes in our community. We have a responsibility to ensure that no one dies the way they did, and families do not have to cry the tears that their families cried. While the tactics have changed, the struggle for freedom continues. I'm a great believer in the Republican family. As in any family, there are different facets, different personalities. Like the names behind me, different people from different walks of life, from the volunteer to the shopkeeper. We are all a family, and we should stay together to keep this area proud and strong. I salute the memory of all the people named in this garden, and I salute the courage of their families. As Wolfe Tone said, many suffer so that someday all Irish people may know justice and peace. The last point I want to make is one made by Bobby Sands when reflecting on his life as an IRA volunteer. The people stood by us, he wrote. The people not only opened their doors of their homes to lend us a hand, but they opened their hearts to us. I learned that without the people we could not survive, and I knew that I owed them everything. That quote sums up for me what the Republican community of St James's is about. If we are ever to pay a truly fitting tribute to all those whose names adorn this garden, then we have to complete the task at hand. The popular will is to move forward. So let us all become involved in working for Irish unity and freedom and finish the job that the heroes we honour here today died for. Gur míle maith agaibh.
Our next speaker is someone who equally deserves the respect of this community. Someone who has suffered on our behalf, not because he had to, and I'm sure not because he wanted to, because it was necessary, it was a thing to do. He has been a prisoner and a hunger striker and a community activist. Bernard Fox.
Our dús is honor more do of anseo in you a Lord's live for our camaraderie ha for boss or son Saoirse August McConter Fian. When I sat down the other night to do a few notes for this speech, I got carried away with myself, and before I knew it, I had 16 pages written. And I realised that we'll be here the next Sunday if I continued on the way I was going. So I've done my best in cutting the speech down, and I really hope I do tribute to this area and to the men and women who fought for Irish freedom and paid the ultimate sacrifice. Being an Irish Republican, born and bred in this area, I'm immensely proud to stand before you today and speak on this wonderful occasion. The people from this area, you, epitomise all that is good about the last 40 years of struggle. We have fought together, suffered together, to build a better future for our children through freeing our country of British occupation in the quest to establish a 32-county socialist republic. It has been and continues to be a difficult road to travel, and like many other areas, we have come through traumatic times, with several of our comrades, friends and neighbours paying the ultimate sacrifice. Today we remember them with pride and pay tribute to their lives, and hope that in some way this garden will be a symbol to their families of how dearly our community holds their loved ones in our hearts. In comparison to other areas, some people may say that we have been lucky and that our roll of honour is not that long. Maybe so. But I can tell you the Greater St James's area is not only a close-knit community, but the army came from this community and the community came from the army. They were inseparable, and any loss within it was felt by us all. Hundreds joined the struggle, and after the eruption of 1969, we lost Francie, Skipper, Harry, Brendan and Paddy, marvellous human beings in their own right who joined the ranks of the army and Sinn Féin. However, the first person from the area to be killed was Daniel Rooney in September 1972 at the hands of undercover British Army personnel, in essence the SAS. Daniel epitomised the spirit of the youth at that time. He did not accept the jackboot tactics of the British state. He stood up for himself, and because of this he was regularly targeted by the Crown forces. Then on the night of the 27th of September, he was shot dead in their shoot to kill policy, which seen Brendan Brannan also seriously wounded. Many years later, the British were being accused of operating a shoot to kill policy, which was already used in St James's in 1972. Daniel was an innocent civilian, murdered by the SAS and covered up by the British government. The Rooney family had lost a son and a brother. St James's lost one of their vibrant youth. In losing his life on active service, volunteer Francie Leggett ensured that his comrades returned to base safely. And I think it is poignant, and Breeds has already mentioned about Bobby's anniversary on Tuesday. No greater love has man that he lays down his life for others. Very much applicable to Francie, who came into this community through his relationship with Maureen. Not only was he welcomed into the Shannon household with open arms, but he was also welcomed into this community and into the ranks of the IRA. A wonderful volunteer with so much to live for. He had only been married 6 weeks when he was killed. And in saving and ensuring the escape of the other volunteers on that operation, it's great to see one of the persons who was wounded on that operation among the crowd today. Jim Burns, Skipper, had a great influence on me in my early days of involvement in the army. He was easy to talk to, an ordinary great man, a friend and a comrade with plenty of common sense. His door was always open, and he had the ability to look at things from all sides. He made it easy for me to join the IRA, because if that's where Skipper was, it was a right thing to do. And I could just relate a funny story about Skipper. Skipper was involved in the Fianna from 1964. And in the early days of 1969, we done a lot of marching and drilling. Skipper could never get a coordination right. And it was the nights we spent in the old Fallon's Club learning how to drill, that Skipper could never get his coordination of the left arm and the left leg, and he always led with both. We used to end up doubled up and the Fallons laughing at him, but he also seen the funny side. Skipper was shot dead in bed, and another clear-cut case of state collusion. It is fitting that today we have added Brendan O'Callaghan's name to our plaque. Brendan was born and bred in this street and came from a well-respected family. Mickey and Teresa, his parents, still live here. He was quiet, and once Brendan married Amelia and moved to Lannadown, it came as a shock for some to learn that he had joined the ranks of the IRA. They shouldn't have been. Brendan was an ideal volunteer, tight, quiet and committed. His 32nd anniversary was only 10 days ago. He was shot dead by British Crown forces defending his community. Harry Burns. Harry was a dedicated volunteer who committed his life to struggle. Harry got things done and led from the front. He was serious about his work, earning him the nickname Hate the World, which became an affectionate name over the years. In the late 70s, Harry was involved in a very serious accident which would have killed him but for the bravery of Deirdre, who got him to hospital while under severe pressure. Harry was not treated well in Ballymena Hospital, and when he was transferred to Musgrave, along with the family, his friends and comrades took it on a rota system to visit him. And I remember one night I was paired with Paddy Cook to go up on a visit, and we met outside the Rock Bar. And when our lift came, Paddy said to me, "Hold on a minute." And he run in and ordered a pint of double. Come back out with it, and we got into our car and headed up to the hospital, and he brought a pint of double in for Harry. You want to see the smile on Harry's face. And Paddy didn't spill a drop. Eventually, Harry was released from hospital, and though severely disabled from the accident, he threw himself back into the struggle, and along with Deirdre, he helped to raise a fine family. On one occasion, I remember him and Joe coming to our house upon my release from jail and doing a few renovations to make the house safe for me. That was Harry, ever helpful. It was a proud day for me at Harry's funeral to unfurl the national flag on his coffin. I know this is a solemn day and a sad day and a really great day, but with funny, there's hundreds and thousands of funny stories about this area. And I think people should, especially ex-prisoners and residents or former residents of this area, should really think about writing a book upon this area before everybody's away. But I've mentioned Paddy Cook there a couple of times, and I just want to share a story about Paddy. Paddy joined the army in 1972 during the truce, and everybody was, a bit surprised at this, because as you know, this area is full of characters, and Paddy was a real character. But when the truce was broken in Lannadown, Paddy reported to his OC and asked would the army take a sick line. True story. Paddy Brady. Paddy Brady was a great man who also lived in this street, married to Mary O'Reilly from a large respected family from this area. Paddy will be remembered for many things, but mostly for the work he done within this community. He was light years ahead of us all. He galvanised what was good, and the youth benefited immensely from the amount of work and energy he put in to inspire the people and make them laugh in difficult times. Paddy did huge work for this community in an era when there was no such thing as funding. where he did his work voluntarily, combining a deep felt concern for the working class with an instinctive grasp of local politics. Paddy was shot dead arriving for work in another clear-cut case of state collusion. This area has many characters, and too many good, decent human beings have died to mention here today. Our area is unique. Community support is vital for any revolution. The gorilla needs its pool to swim in. The Greater St James's area is an ocean. It is no wonder that our enemies attack this community, ruthlessly targeting civilians in their homes, workplaces, standing at the corners, such as on our plaque today. Peter Watterson, Ronnie and Sean MacDonald, Anthony McGrady, Sadie Larmer, Paddy McAllister, John Devine, Mickey Lanahan, Michael O'Dwyer, Sean Hughes, Laurie Merchant and Jim Carson are just some of the victims of state violence. I'd like to take this opportunity, if I can, just to mention a couple of those people. Paddy McAllister was a good friend, and I always enjoyed his company. He liked to drink, and then belting out, "Ruby, don't take your love to town." He had a loud, strong voice. He was the same size as me, and would have been hard to stick if he had been the stature of his drinking partner, Big Cook. Paddy was a great family man, and I know he always made sure, as a breadwinner, that the family were okay. Another person I'd like to mention was a very close friend of mine. It's Michael Lanigan. What can I say about Mickey? He was a close friend, always helping me in whatever I was doing. Mickey made his own contribution to the struggle in his own forthright, straight manner, and never shirked from his loyalty to me and my family in the struggle. A true friend who I miss a lot. We have a plaque dedicated to all the people who have died of natural causes during the last 40 years. Would have been impossible to get a stone large enough to reflect each name. For example, if you're talking about Rodney Drive, it would be easy for me to mention the doors that were not open. But I would like to mention some of those names. Obviously I will forget some, so I apologise now. Maisie, Ardglass and Huck Fitzsimmons, Lorne Goodman, Louis McVeigh, Kitty Nixon, Margaret Collins, Jimmy Winters, Mickey Hillman, Eugene McManus, Stoogie, Marlene O'Brien, Harry Early, Dick Barry, John Huddleston, Tony Donnelly, Paddy Kelly, Anne and Billy Shannon, Tommy and Linda Fern, Eilish Morgan, Mr. and Mrs. Rooney, Maureen Kelly, Kevin Kelly, Rosie Dorn, Mark McAleese, Walter O'Neill, Sam Johnson, Mr. Bannon, Anne Halligan, Paddy Kerr, Hubert McCallion, Michael Dougherty, Liz McSherry, Mick and Charlotte McGadigan, Jim McCusker, Tommy McLaughlin and Joe Drain. In conclusion, friends and comrades, I'd like to end this speech with a quote from Maura Drum, which is also on our main plaque. We will not take any step backwards. Our steps will be onward. For if we don't, the ghosts of the martyrs who died for you, me, for this country, will haunt us for eternity. Gora million mayagov.
Ernie O'Malley wrote in the Singing Flame about the cost of struggle and the cost of conflict, and our two speakers personalised that insofar as they named the people who had made such a contribution in their families. Everyone who's spoken has talked about the effort that was put into making this garden a success. The people who collected, the people who dug trenches, the people who stayed out in the rain, the people who painted, and all of that. And I have no intentions of singling any one person out, but I would like to call Joe Burns as the chairman of the Commemoration Committee just to say a few words. This is one of those rare occasions when you surprise Joe Burns.
First of all, I would like to ask the people to put their hands together for the Colour Party and the Guard of Honour. I'll not be saying too much because it didn't give me too much to say. So this is it. As chairperson of St James's Commemoration Committee, I want to say a quick thank you to all the people who made this garden possible. The list is too long to mention everyone now, but from the person who bought a ballot of £1 to the people who gave donations and to the workers who gave their services for free, we thank you. Go now and enjoy the rest of the day in O'Donnell's, where there will be food and music. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now all that leaves me to do is to close the procedures. There's an awful lot of young people here today, and that's a good sign. That's what our struggle's about. Looking at this garden, I want to remind the young people that it's not about the past, but it is about the future. This struggle will succeed or fail without your participation. This is your area. The people we're talking about are your families. The people who have been mentioned by all of the speakers are people who live next door to you, across the street, round the corner. You come from an area of heroes. Carry that with you. You are heroes. The struggle's about heroes, and the struggle's about you. I began with a quote from a Greek philosopher, and I want to finish with a quote which I'm told comes from Donegal, which it probably doesn't, but we'll try it anyway. And it's often said that the bitterest tears that are shed at a grave are shed about the things left undone and for the words that are left unsaid. Let this garden be the place where you, our families, in your time and when you're ready to say the words that you need to say. For those that invited me, Garabila Mayogat, for you, for your patience, thank you very much. And if anybody has spare glasses, I'll see you at the gate. Garabila Mayogat, thank you.